Hello everyone, Visas A32 back with a look at this week's mail. Let's start off with decks of cards. I got some from a loose nest. Nothing that's new, necessarily, but I just picked them up. The first is these two warrior decks, which have that on the back design, basically casino style. They're fine, nothing too exciting, but art by Daniel Snyder and Cam Lee. They're actually printed by Cartamundi. I don't know how recent of a print run this is, but I think these originally came out 3 or 4 years ago. But I just saw them on Losers website, so I figured why not. They're nice for what they are, I guess. They're decent. And then the other one I got is the second last deck, I think. Second or third last deck they released, which is the Sculpt deck, which is all about sculptures. And it's fine. It's pretty cool. It's got holographic gilding. Unfortunately, it's like a bit pricey for what it is, in my opinion. I mean, it's nice, completely custom and everything. Also printed by Cartamundi. Probably the last deck they printed in Cartamundi. And yeah, I wish the boxes, for the price point, I wish the box was nicer, or that the backs had foil or something like that, but it is what it is. It's just gilded. Is that the first gilded deck from Losers? It could be, I'm not sure. Then I got some decks here from TCC Magic. They are their Triumph decks. They come in red and blue. The blue is marked, as I've seen in many comments, and I kind of agree, the marking is a little bit small, but it's fine. And they're pretty decent quality, fairly standard for magicians, as you would expect. Pretty nice detailed back design, I will say. Let's see if you can see that better. I do like it. And then I also got some from Kickstarter that I've been waiting on. Wasn't sure when they would get here. Never got tracking information. But these are from the A. Haynes Playing Card Company, aka Alexander Haynes. And they are the Osprey and Gulsock vintage-inspired decks with nice vintage looks. They're both different, but basically the same. And the back design's slightly different and everything, but the cards are basically the same, minor differences. Number 2 and number 3 in their series. I'm guessing number 1 was their imported deck that they released before. But yeah, I like them. Very nice. Printed by Legends Playing Cards. And then we get on to the games. Yes. Let's see what we got this week. First of all, I got a bunch of games here from Board Game Bliss. We'll go from like smallest to biggest here. Yeah. First, I got some promo cards for Holly Jolly, which is from 25th Century Games. Krampus. It's a Christmas themed game, which I've looked at before. I mean, it was like 30 cents or something like that, so why the hell not? I got some games also from Button Side Games. 2 are solo, 1 is not. The solo ones include The Last Lighthouse from Scott Elms, which is kind of a survival game where you're, it's a little bit horror, I guess, a solo game, and you're trying to keep the light going, I guess. I don't remember much about it. Then there's Ugly Griffin Inn. This one I'm more interested in, though, which is not a solo game from Scott Elms and Button Side Games. And in this one, you are running an inn, and you got all sorts of different guests coming in, and you need to have a certain number of guests left in your inn at the end of the game to win. But each guest is going to have little irks and quirks, things that annoy them, things that will annoy other people. So it's very interesting. And then the other one is a 2 to 4 player game, I do believe. From Jason Glover. This is also from Button Side. It's called Stew. And in this one, you are trying to get a certain number of points, from what I recall, from different ingredients in a stew. And when you think you've hit that certain number of points, you yell out stew, or let's eat, or whatever. I forget what it is. And but you also have to like worry about animals that are gonna want to eat different things, like the gopher, which eats one leek. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, kind of a push your luck type game. Then I got this, which is The Lone Gun. It's a expansion slash solo campaign for the flip down game, which I got last year or early this year from Kickstarter. Just adds a bunch of cards and a solo campaign, so seems pretty interesting. Then I got Moving Wild from Oink Games. This is designed by Chris Prescott, him, and it is a little game, little cards where you are trying to build out your what is it again that they said it was, your national park. A national park, you're going to be trying to put animals in there in different areas that they fit in to score points. This is based on another game that I already have called Zooly from the same designer, except that one you were trying to build out a zoo, but basically the same animals and mechanics and everything. But this one, it's a national park, which may be a bit more fitting. It's a bit smaller than Zooly, and the cards are definitely smaller. The original one was like poker sized. These ones are skinny cards. And yeah, it looks pretty nice. I heard there was some minor differences, so I wanted to check it out. I do like the game. Then I got Fate Flip, Lost the Sword. This one is from Johannes Krenner, and it's produced by Red Cat Games and Alley Cat Games. And it is a solo game with a story to it, and there's 13 different endings for you to discover, so you can play it at least 13 different times and get different endings. Basically, you're following the story and taking different actions, and it seems pretty interesting. Then I got Palm Island. This is the plastic card edition. Says plastic cards, whereas I guess older versions didn't. Designed by John Mietling and is put out by Portal Dragon. They actually came out with a kind of a new version of this Palm something over. I don't remember what it is. It even comes with a little travel wallet that you can put the cards into and take it wherever you want. And it's a little game. It's for 1 or 2 players. Though I think you can play with more players if you get more versions, more copies of the game, I do believe. 17 cards, and you're trying to shape your island and overcome its unique challenges. There's resources to pay for upgrades and upgrade buildings, and you can play this game. The idea with Palm Island is you can play it in the palm of your hand, so it doesn't matter if you're sitting, standing, waiting, flying, riding, alone, or with a friend. You can play this, so it seems pretty interesting. This is not a new game. This came out in 2021, so it's not old, but it's not new. Most of these other games that I've looked at are new, or relatively new. Speaking of new, I got another one here that's new, which is from Heidelberg Games out of Europe, designed by Christopher Conrad, for it by Cafudis. It is called Snatch It. It's a frogtastic game. Or for 3 to 6 frogtastic players. And basically, you are trying to capture different creatures and critters, but trying to avoid getting snatched up by a bigger animal, basically. Kind of a ladder climbing type game. Seems pretty interesting. And then I got another one here that I pre-ordered a while back. It finally came in. This is not a new game per se. I think it came out at least a couple of years ago originally, or a few years ago. But this is the new version from 25th Century Games in plate. It is called Jalapeno. Has some nice UV ink on the box. designed by Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer. Wolfgang Kramer is a pretty big name in games, and this is a trick-taking game for how many players is it? 3 to 9 players. 3 to 9 players. It's a pretty big game. It's got 6 different suits or colors, and you're going to use certain cards and colors depending on the player counts. And basically, you want to try to avoid getting the number 1 cards, which are the jalapenos, which are going to give you negative points. And whoever has the fewest negative points after 5 rounds is the winner. And it's a pretty basic trick-taking game outside of that, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I do like it. And then, one more from Board Game Bliss, and that is the biggest game I got from them. Not a new game. This originally came out, I want to say, the 1990s, I want to say. It's called Ink and Gold. It's from Eagle Griffin Games. It's kind of a push your luck game where you're trying to search for artifacts and treasures. And designed by Alan R. Moon, I believe he's known for Ticket to Ride, a pretty big game. And also Bruno Faiduti. It just seems pretty cool. This is the newest version. It just came out this year. But it's been around for many years now. Moving on, I got a game from a company called Nerd Lab. It's available on their website. A little bit hard to find outside of that. It's designed by Kristen and Laura Kudal. It's called Agent Avenue. It's a 2-player, kind of a racing game, where you are undercover spies in this neighborhood. You think there's some espionage going on next door, and you're trying to recruit locals to discover the truth. And basically, you're playing cards, and they're going to give you certain points, and you got this board, and you're going to be chasing each other around the board. And if you ever catch up and or pass your opponent, you win the game. And it seems like a pretty cool game. I played it a little bit. It's pretty interesting. I like the look of it, so I figured why not. It's a pretty straightforward game. Good for families and everything. You can play with 3 to 4 players with a team variant as well. But it's mainly a 2-player, I split, you choose game with bluffing. And yeah, I like it. Then I got some stuff here from that I got from Board Game Geek. Not the Geek Market. This is directly from the shop at Board Game Geek. And first is an expansion for Century Spice World, which I got a while ago, which is Century Golden Deals. It's a big deck of more cards to use in the game, which just gives you 61 Golden Deals cards and 71 sleeves as well. And I believe you can also use this with a different Century game as well. It basically offers you opportunities directly from the merchant row. Very interesting. And I also got 2 bonus card packs, which just add more games, more cards to the games that you can use. So why not? And I got a game from there as well that seems pretty hard to find outside of Board Game Geek. And it is Wild Cards, which unfortunately suffered some damage on the edge here. This is from GaminBiz and Board Game Circus. And it is a bluffing and bidding game where you're trying to collect the most valuable collection of wild animals. The leaders of those animals give you special powers. It just seemed pretty interesting. Pretty nice artwork. Designed by Ferdinand Schnitzler. Art by Christian der Niederlanden. So there's that one. And then one more order that I got this week. of games that I got from Spelspul, which is in Belgium, I do believe. And the first is a game from White Goblin Games, which is a European publisher, called Yomo. I believe it's pronounced Yomo, from Michael Palm and Lucas Zach. It considers itself to be like a little bit of a trick-taking game. I don't have any, it's not in English, so I can't really read off the back what it says. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't know what the hell it's saying. It's also put up by the Game Factory. What I know is you're going to be playing cards. Two people will play cards, and then others got to play cards that are in between those numbers, in the gap, if you will. And certain cards have certain abilities. And, yeah. You see the artwork, it's... Yeah, we'll look at it eventually on the channel. Then there is Roaring Twenties from Pegasus Spiel and Deep Print Games. And Yomo, by the way, just came out last year. This one, I should use my glasses to read, since I got new glasses. Might not have noticed, but yeah. This one just came out this year, I do believe. Roaring Twenties. It's all about dinosaurs. And basically it's kind of set collecting. You are trying to attract the trendiest dinos to your glamorous party, either by offering them their favorite snacks or bribing them with gems. And you're making bids, passing at times, and just trying to get guests. It seems pretty interesting. It's designed by Leo Colavini, who's done other games I can't think of it off the top of my head. Artwork by Annika Heller. But yeah, I liked what I was seeing there, so I decided to pick it up. And then the last one I got is another game from Scott Elms, also from White Goblin Games. It's called Claim, which is a trick-taking game. This one goes back to 2017 at least. It's a two-player trick-taking game. There's 5 factions in this deck of cards. The goblins don't have any abilities, when I recall. The other ones, there's one that is, let me see if it says here. There's 5 factions anyway. The goblins don't really have any abilities. The other ones have abilities. Doppelgangers let you just basically copy whatever else was played and become a part of that suit. There's one suit that will trump another suit, and etc., etc. Each faction, basically, except for the goblins, has an ability. They mostly have the same number of cards. Goblins have a bunch of zeros. The other ones, basically 0 through 9. One suit is 2 through 9. But basically, you are playing 2 phases in this trick-taking game. The first phase, you're going to be playing cards, 13 tricks. Whoever wins a trick gets a card that's revealed, and whoever loses takes a card from the remaining face-down deck. And in the second round, you're going to play off the cards that you won during that first round, the first phase. And at the end of the game, you're trying to see who has recruited the most of each of the factions, and whoever has the most of each faction gets a vote, and whoever has the most votes becomes the new king. The idea of the game is the king is dead without any known heirs, so it's up to the 5 factions of the realm to decide who will be the new king, you or your opponent, and you're trying to gather followers to claim the throne. Now, as I point out, this is the original Claim. There's also Claim 2, which is the same game except with 5 different factions. There's a number of additional factions you can add into the game if you want, separately. And there was also more recently the Claim Anniversary Edition, which basically combined Claim 1 and 2, and I think added some stuff. But that one's been pretty difficult to find, so I figured I would just get this one. I'm happy I did. Maybe I'll check out the other ones as well. Anyway, I apologize for rambling on and on about that one. I just really like it. Most of the games here, I mean, I haven't tried some of them yet, but The ones I have tried I do like. So that is that. Comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you next time for more. Thanks for watching. Next week, I'm going to say that I'm not expecting too much, but we know how that usually works out. We'll see you. Thanks for watching.